Welcome to another fabulous episode of Beers with Billy, and we got
Right.
Billy down all the way from Booneville,
Boone,
Indiana.
Vegas.
Boone,
That's
Vegas,
what they call
buddy.
it. Yeah.
We're here. We're here. We're ready to do it. We're ready to talk a bunch of smack. We're ready to.
Bunch of requests to get, ain't it? We
Man, I
want.
just came back from Fiesta Acapulco in Sturgis, which, by the way, is a Fat Boy approved restaurant. If you by now, hopefully, if you've been watching this, you know what the Fat Boy app is all about. Those mom and pop restaurants. Bill, you got some restaurants up in Boonville that's
Yeah.
owned by some
Mom and pop.
locals,
Yep.
some mom and pops. Maybe we need to reach out to them, and because it's free for the restaurants to sign up to get on this app. Man, it's free advertisement for them. They don't have to pay nothing. So what's one of your favorite mom and pops up there in
It's called
Boonville?
Two Chicks Diner.
Two Chicks Diner
I
in
think it.
Boonville, Indiana.
No, I think it's Two Chicks Bristow and Bakery
Two
actually.
Chicks Bristow and Bakery.
But
Well, shout out
it's a
to
little
them.
diner. It's amazing.
And you were telling me about that last time I talked to you.
Yeah, it's
I had to
great.
try
I've been
it.
up a couple times. It's really good.
Yeah, so we're gonna check that
Really
out.
reasonable prices on food and big qualities of food. Really
Like
good.
more than what you expect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
cool.
good.
So Two Chicks Bristow and Bakery
it's
in
yeah,
Boonville, Indiana. If
on
that's
the
not
square.
exactly right, we'll make sure we get it right. I'll put it up on the screen after we do some editing. Because you and I get together, we got to do some editing because we can't post everything that
Yeah.
is talked about. But hey, we don't want to hurt people's feelings. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people, man, that are a little sensitive nowadays. Growing up, what happened? What happens if you get your feelings hurt? Let's just say we fall off a ladder and break our arm.
Rub some dirt on it. It'll be okay.
Yeah, rub some
I'll
spit
give you
on it.
something to cry about.
I'll give you something to cry about. So here we are, and welcome to Front Porch America, the Beers with Billy edition. We'd like to thank, obviously, Fat Boy, but I need to give a special shout out to a gentleman who, out of the blue, decided to make a huge contribution to this podcast. He is the only guy around here that works on transmissions and is the best. I don't care, hands down, especially, I believe, on the Chevrolet GM side of things. He works on everything. He's just a genius when it comes to transmissions. Out of the blue, shows his support. You notice our lighting is a little better now,
Yeah.
and that is all possible by Stephen Watson. I'll put his phone number up if you need transmission work. Wherever you're seeing this at, you figure it out. Get your stuff to Stephen Watson. I cannot thank him enough for helping us out on this podcast. That's what I like about our community. When somebody sees somebody else doing good things, they support our community. The state, Union County High School 2025 state wrestling champs. Again, anybody surprised? No. Gonna have to get some of those wrestling coaches on the Front Porch America podcast to
Yeah.
do an interview. Be interesting. But anyway, so thanks to Stephen Watson for our lighting. That is possible through him. Can't thank him enough. So without further ado, let's get into a little beers with Billy. So
So
what have you been up to since last time I seen you?
working, mostly.
Yeah,
Fix my fish pond again, and damn, my ice fell over. I got a massive fish pond. Y'all got to
I
check
seen
it
that.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ripped the hole.
So you brought a mini excavator home and you dug.
A water line for the dogs first, and then the wife's like, she was like, "Can we do the fish pond?" So we started off a little bitty. Now this thing's 30 feet long, 10-foot wide, 5-foot deep. It's got fountains. It's got everything, everything on lights.
I seen it when you finished it. What, last year? Yeah, last year. It's pretty cool. And you stopped by here. You went and picked up some Japanese koi goldfish. Them suckers were
Yeah.
like
Y'all
huge.
see 'em
Is
now?
that what you ate?
Yeah.
One of those, the
Well,
big ones?
tried. It
Didn't work out. But yeah, it's a huge fish pond. It's awesome. Like you did a really good
Yeah.
job.
Well, then this ice we had and snow, I have this big water, my fountain, big old rock froze, slid off, fell in the water, went to the bottom, cut a hole in the bottom of the liner.
Oh shoot.
So I lost a lot of water. So I think Tuesday when it was real warm, we drained it, pumped all it all out, caught all the fish, they've gotten bigger. They're probably 8-pounders now.
Golly, they were big already.
So caught them all, refixed the liner, filled it back up. So we still got some more work to do to it when it warms back up again.
Well, it's been yesterday was windy as crap here. I don't know about if it was up there.
Yes.
It's windy as crap, but today was a little more chilly, but it's not 30 degrees, man. It's nice. It's been nice.
I'm gonna go back to warm again, rub my Harley again.
Yeah, it's almost that time. So you got to watch the first race of the season.
Heck yeah.
How'd that go for you? Who's your driver?
Chase Elliott, number 9.
Chase Elliott, number 9. Who's his sponsor?
Napa.
Okay. How did he do last year?
Last year he didn't do very good. This year he was doing good for a while.
But so
got wrecked.
it's kind of like me and the Dallas Cowboys in football. You either support them or you don't. And you've been a Chase Elliott fan since, gosh dang. Yeah.
Been to the races, seen Talladega, been to Bristol, been to Nashville.
Yeah.
Great. Love it. Best experience ever.
It is a good time. Me and our cousin Robert went to the Indy 500 and had a heck of a time.
I think every man should to experience the Talladega. Go to the boulevard. It's called the Talladega Boulevard. It's a track. It's the strip inside the track. You got to experience it. It's not kid friendly, and it's a guy.
It's a good time.
It's a good time. It's a good time. I
So
got buddies I go with.
It's called the what? The
Talladega Boulevard.
Talladega Boulevard. If you haven't been there, I haven't been there. I'm gonna have to probably go. I guess. So what's new, man? You I had my buddy Jake on who just started his business, and you're a business owner yourself.
Yeah.
You've got your own business. You've had it for a while. How's that going?
It's busy. Well, I mean, I'm in contact with a bunch of other guys too. We also help run a tire shop, then dump trucks and fleets. I'm busy. I got all 3 things going on at one time.
That's crazy.
So if you need any tires, people, Warwick County Tire in Boonville, Indiana.
So if you're up around Boonville or you're passing through, Warwick County Tire is the place to go. Turtle actually said he needs you to get him. Said he was looking for some used tires.
I got some.
15s is what he needs. So I'll hook him up with that.
Yeah, I got all size tires, any kind of tires, all size tires. I put them on, balance them, and all.
So let's get into a story. People are waiting for a story. What
Let
story?
me tell you what I did. You'll get a kick out of it.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so it happened a couple weeks ago. So I forgot to tell you. I just don't remember. So I got a shower, went in the living room, and I use a Sensodyne toothpaste, right? So I didn't think about it. I keep it in the bedroom, so keep the other kids out of it. So I go in there, and I thought I grabbed the Sensodyne toothbrush, went to the bathroom. I squirt on it, and I'm brushing my teeth. I'm like, this shit's not foaming. You know how toothpaste foams in your mouth? It's not foaming. So I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I left the lid off. I kept going. It's not foaming. And I looked down, and it says diaper rash ointment.
The grandbaby's been there.
I spit, puked, gagged, and it was diaper rash ointment. It was one. And Tiffany, she's about to pee her pants laughing so hard. Yeah, it is not. No, it does not taste good. It did not. Believe me, it was horrible.
Funny, dude.
Yeah, because it was in the same container. I didn't pay attention. I just grabbed it and
you just put it on. Yeah, I mean,
went to go tea it, and I was like,
"Oh, that's funny." The grandbaby has been there.
It's not foaming. I'm like, what the hell? And then I looked down. I seen it. I'm like, oh my god.
That's something like you see happen to other people, and you never think it would happen to you. That is hilarious.
Oh, it was bad.
Oh, it was man. Rough. I'm gonna start gagging just thinking about it.
It was pretty rough.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Man,
that was she thought that was funny.
That was pretty funny. Too bad she couldn't get that on video. That would have been a good video. Man, let's tell them a story. What are we gonna go to? I mentioned I was talking about Jake on one of my last podcasts with him. The Toyota Corolla and the Ford Fiesta.
I laughed when you said that. I remember that.
I don't even remember. Like, we took a Sawzall.
It was something. The blades broke. Then we took a hacksaw to finish
it. Man, that was a lot of work.
And then we went to the bottoms.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you what happened to him after that.
Just imagine the Duke boys.
Yeah, the Duke boys didn't have nothing on us.
I remember that.
I can't, honestly, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I can't believe we're still alive. I had a teacher. I was probably 27, 28 years old, 29 years old, almost 30. Found me. I'd seen her out, and I hadn't seen her since. Well, she was an elementary school teacher that I had, Miss Phillips Sykes, or Miss. What was her name? It was Miss Phillips. Yeah, Miss Phillips. And she's like, I can't believe you've lived past 27. And I'm surprised too. A lot of people are
I'm telling
surprised.
you, it's a
It's
miracle.
people don't live the lives like we lived
Nah, we
anymore.
rough.
I've even heard some other stories of people my age, and I'm like, you think that's bad?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
let me tell you what we did. Um, let's think of
There was
let's
another
find.
story. I remember Tommy, my little brother, Tommy. And I remember one time we was down in the bottoms and the backwater was up. And he'll tell you the story. The backwater flooded across the road, so we decided we're going to drive through the water. And he's like, I tell you what I'll do. I'll get on a boogie board and sit on this side. You drive through the water and you take off real fast and we'll pull you through it. I said, he said, when you get to the blacktop, stop. I didn't stop.
Of course you didn't.
He drug him. He said, I got a scar on my butthole. I'll show it to you. To this day, he still tells you about that story.
I remember what we were doing on that bridge. Backwater was up.
Oh, I know what you're talking
You do,
about.
don't
We was out riding around, just shooting 22s.
Yeah. We
out
stopped
riding.
on the bridge down in the bottoms, and I think your exact words. Now, listen, guys, we're in our 20s. We're not even in our teens. We were grown ass men that should not have been doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember you like, I wonder if this will go through this guardrail. Paps it off!
Ricky said went through Morehouse
through
Bridge.
your calf. Yeah,
Morehouse
went through your
Bridge.
calf muscle.
I remember that.
No, I think it grazed it.
It grazed my calf muscle.
Man,
Needed stitches, but I'm like, I'll be all right.
Yeah, it did need stitches, but
and we toughen up. We just go on.
Let's talk. Speaking of stitches, let's talk about you falling out of the truck.
Twice.
Twice. Like he didn't learn his lesson the first time, so the second time, let's do this.
I was first grade. I remember first grade, and I was mad at my mom. We had, growing up, we do a garbage truck.
Yeah,
we didn't have the garbage trucks like they have nowadays. We had no pickup truck with sides on it. It was my dad's dad's business. He's like,
he was one of the first garbage men in Union County, I think.
So, we were going to school. School's in Uniontown.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in Uniontown. I was mad at her. Didn't shut the door all the way. I was leaning up, pouting. She's like, "You better shut that door before you fall." I don't care. She turned the curb at the school. I fell out. Fell into a big old pothole. Busted my head open. Yeah, that was the first time. The second time, we were hauling trash. I remember it was. I know the road. I can't remember exactly the name of the roads, but I turned the curb. I fell out again. This time I landed on my knees.
Yeah, I remember both times. I remember when you guys lived on Highway 60, right down from Canipes.
Yeah,
I think it was at GMC that I knocked out a gear.
And you did it. You were in it. I was in it with you.
You were.
We took off down the hill backwards, and I think I turned the wheel.
Yeah,
we were 5 and 6.
We were young.
5 and 6.
That was shortly. Wasn't long after that. Was it Tommy that jumped off the couch and broke his arm?
Remember, that was in Uniontown. No,
that was up on the hill.
The first time he broke his arm, his elbow. You remember how the back days had the weights in the walls for the windows that you push the windows?
Yeah.
Well, the house we lived in was old. The weights didn't work; they were cut. My mom had a broomstick stuck under the thing, and we both was sitting like this, watching my dad mow the yard. Tommy comes up. I'm gonna watch. I was like, no. He pushes me. I push him back, so I jerk the stick out. Bam! And it hits
broke his elbow.
Broke his elbow.
Goodness. Yeah,
he was like 3.
Yeah, he was young.
Then we went to move to Uniontown, and we was watching Superman. He jumps off the back of the stool, off the couch, thinks he's Superman, breaks his foot, breaks his ankle.
That's a man. Let's talk about
more broken bones and stitches.
Oh yeah, that's man. The times we probably should have got.
What about
stitches,
number 8 that are at Billy House's? Then at Culver,
the bicycle.
Yes,
I cleared that sucker above. I broke my wrist, but I cleared.
Remember
that?
I do. He was like, "I'll do it."
Yeah, like nobody would jump it. Like now, the funny thing is, you go back there now, and it's like this high, right? But when we were 8, 10 years
Big old
old. It looked
drive
like it
through.
was
Yeah, I remember that.
100 foot tall.
But Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
That was
we
always.
called this. It was a valley, I guess. I don't know how it was, but it had a rope hanging in it, and we called it the Grand Canyon. We go up there all the time swinging on it, and you decided to who was on top.
Chris.
Was it Chris?
Yeah.
My other brother, Chris. You know, Chris swings out, crawls up. Rick's like, I want to jump on the bottom. He comes up
right when he was going out. I was like Superman in it, and hit like I never forget that, dude, because I can see the rope in front of me. And then I look down, and the next thing I know, I'm eating dirt. Like I hit that sucker flat, belly flopped on solid flat dirt, man.
that.
It was a what was that guy's name? You remember the corn festival when they used to have the lizards on the like a wire?
Jim, old man Jim, I remember.
Yeah, so we had been to the corn festival and we got us a couple of those lizards. I remember we terrorized him with that. Go ahead and tell. You know what I'm getting to.
Which one? We kept running up his leg. And he kept get the damn thing off.
No, I'm talking about the outhouse.
Oh yeah, because he didn't. I don't know why he didn't have. He had running water.
That's why I thought he had indoor plumbing, didn't he?
Did not want.
He always used that outhouse out back.
He'd go to the outhouse. We'd shoot him with BB guns.
We'd shoot the outhouse with BB guns, and he'd be hollering at us.
Y'all boys, stop that!
Y'all quit that! I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Yeah, man, it's I had so many stories I was wanting to bring up, just thinking about them since the last time, and it's really cool because it gives you you forget about those things. You know, life goes on, and you forget about all the what do you want to call it, mischievous things we've done.
But we never
really
tore up nothing. We never tore up cornfields. Well,
we burnt one
on accident because we was mischievous trying to burn grass. Yeah. But we never tore up people's stuff. We
didn't.
Tore our own stuff up or just been.
We tore the crap out of our own stuff, but we would never.
We chased deers across the
cornfield. We weren't disrespectful, to people other than shooting Mr. Jim in his outhouse. But
we never shot him.
No, we never shot him. We shot his building.
Yeah.
Remember we were digging number 8 road, right where the fence row was, where the big field started. We dug that big old hole. What was we doing? Was we building a fort or something?
I don't remember.
We had
I dug so many holes back there. I don't remember.
And what was crazy about it is the dirt was black because it was coal dust and cold like gob or whatever they'd put on it. And your dad would grow tomatoes that looked like freaking watermelons, It
was big.
It was some fertile stuff. And what's
going just. I tell you what, I miss going to Uncle Jim's.
Uncle Jim's.
And he'd go down there. He'd like, go get you some of that food. It would be what,
dude?
He could throw together. You're like, I am not eating that. And you take a bite and you'd eat 4 bowls.
Yeah. So I remember the last time I went before he passed away, and he was sick, but he had a crock pot in his room, in his house that was 562 degrees in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and he had his crock pot, and he was like, "Oh, I made some goulash." I'm like, "All right, cool." And I walk over to it, and I pop the lid open, and it's brown. And you can see like noodles or what supposed to have been, I don't even know what it was.
No telling.
Man, and like chunks of meat. I don't know what it was. And I stirred it up, and I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna eat this." And he hands me a bowl, and I stirred it. And when I stirred it, that smell hit me, and I was like, "Oh my God, it smells so good. It looks so bad, but it smells so good." So I got me a bowl. And then I got like 4 more afterwards. And it was the craziest thing because he would fix, just like your dad, Papa, he would.
Oh, my dad, Molly's probably watching this. One time, so I go into my dad's house. There's this big old chocolate cake sitting on the table, right? I'm looking at him like, damn, that looks good. He said, get you a piece of it. I was like, all right. So I cut it and I'm eating it. I'm like, what the hell is in this? It was orange peelings.
Yes. That was that hadn't been like super long ago. We were growing up, weren't we?
Yeah. I mean, I had kids.
Speaking of that, let's the name game with your dad. That was the funnest thing.
We know somebody else is that
way. We do. We're not mentioning names. We would and it could have been some of his dementia and some of the stuff that onsets, but we would go in and be like, "You remember Miss?" So what happened was we go in and there's a thing of salt, Morton salt, sitting on the table, and we're like, "Let's do this." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you remember Miss Morton? She died." And we just he was, "Oh yeah, how's she doing?" "Well, she's not doing good. She died." Or remember when we'd prank him and tell him he won something?
Yeah, I remember that. Or when he stole whenever Margie rented that car.
Oh my! Hey, listen, no, guys. Like, I don't know how many kids or grandkids his papa's ever punched them in the mouth, but mine did over something I had nothing to
CDs or
do with, some
something.
CDs. So it was like that Columbia house
I don't
where you
remember.
order, like you pay a penny and you get like 50 CDs or
Yep.
whatever. So they had a CD collection, and I remember us going in that day into the basement, and he's never like been mad at me for nothing in my whole entire life that I can remember. And I remember he's mad because I guess I don't know who did Tommy tell him I stole him or
I think
something.
Margie's one my dad's girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, your dad's girlfriend at the time, Margie, said, and he punched me in the mouth. And I was like, and it didn't hurt. It hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Like, cause my papa was everything to me. And I was like, I need to leave. I don't know whether to be mad or cry, because he just punched me in the mouth.
that.
It was now looking back on it, it's the funniest thing in the world, and it's the craziest thing, man.
Because I mean, if kids grew up back, well, they wouldn't be able to survive.
There's no way, dude.
Ain't no way.
No, and a lot of kids I went to school with made fun of me for not having the shit that they had, but I can sit back and laugh, and I'm not going to because it's not who I am. But I could if I wanted to, and be like, you know what? You thought you had everything, and now you have
That's right.
nothing
That's right.
because of the choices you made. And we grew up rough, dude.
Me too.
We
That's
grew
why I
up.
tell some people, I said, y'all don't know what poor is. We grew up poor. I mean, fighting
Yeah.
for what we had. We never go vacations. We didn't. Our vacation was go to the river.
Yeah.
Go to the river for
Yep.
the day or
Camp.
something.
Go camping.
Go camping. Not in RVs.
Nope.
In tents, and there'll be all of us in one tent.
In one tent. There'll be like 65 people in one tent.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. That was so much fun to me.
But it was fun. Great time.
I
Great
never.
memories.
I didn't even go to the movies until I was probably almost 18 years old.
I probably was about that age, maybe a little older. I can remember.
Now I remember. I remember going to the drive-in with mom and dad to Morganfield when Morganfield still had their drive-in to watch. Nothing kid oriented. It was Hunt for Red October. I'm like, however, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I'm like, I don't really care about this. But then the second time I went was with my buddy Josh Hare. He had a birthday party. It was me and Josh and Bobby. Oh man, I'm trying to think who else. Me, Josh, Bobby, maybe one or two other people, but not many. And we went and watched Karate Kid. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. We had a camp out that night, and we went to like the Witch's Rock down in Bell's Mines, and I remember all of us being scared to death. But yeah, I mean, kids they don't do that.
Get out of the house no more.
Even people our age, there's so many of them that haven't experienced what we experienced. When mom and dad your mom and dad, even my mom and papa, they even when they didn't have anything, you had something. The stuff that we had, we appreciated.
That's right.
That's I like that last time we talked. I go, "What are you gonna give me, Bill?"
Yeah.
And you'd always find something to give me. Back when your dad was doing the trash, we were like 5, 6 years old. We were young then. We'd go to the dump. That was the highlight of it. Let's get to the dump, son, because you know what we're gonna find. We're gonna find these toys that these rich kids threw away, and we're gonna take them suckers home. I couldn't tell you how many things I took home from the dump. It was cool as hell.
And it's wild. You grew up, then you become a trash guy.
I did, yeah, I did for a few years. Worked for Gus Knight.
Yeah.
Don't care what anybody says. One of the greatest bosses that I've ever worked for, and it helped me out more than a lot of my success I give to him for pushing me and saying, "Hey, look, I know you want to do better. I know you're going to do better. Go." Loved working for that man, and it was fun. You even come on with me a few routes, dressed up for Halloween, the pimp and the hoe. Yeah. That was a good time. Oh man!
So got to get to what we talked about last time, the Perkinitis. Everybody wants to know what the Perkinitis is. I've talked to. They're asking.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, the explanation of Perkinitis.
And I guarantee you, everybody's got somebody in their
Everybody
family.
has somebody in their family that has Perkinitis.
You'll use this from now on. You'll be like, you got Perkinitis.
So when a family member of yours gets their finger smashed by a hammer, and by the time it circulates through your whole family and comes back to you, let's just say Rick smashes his thumb. Rick's wife calls Billy. She says, Rick smashed his thumb. It's not bad. It just blew the fingernail off. Billy tells, let's say Molly. Billy calls Molly, hey, Rick smashed his finger and it's pretty bad. Molly calls Tommy, hey, Rick smashed his finger and he thinks he's going to lose the tip. Tommy calls my mom, hey, Rick smashed his finger and he's going to lose it at the knuckle. And it goes and it circulates around the family and it gets back to me finally, the person it actually happened. And I've lost one ear, my left arm, and my left foot. That's Perkinitis.
And you're dying.
And I'm dying. And I'm on my deathbed.
You're on your deathbed always.
Because so I smashed my thumb and now I've got all this and now I'm dying from the aliens abducted me and I've got a probe in me. You know,
Many times I've heard my dad call me, I'm not going to make it. You're going to have to take care of your little sister. I'm not going to make it. And he'd have a cough.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it.
So that's Perkinitis. And I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book about our family. Because it's too good not to. We got too many stories, and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna plot out the whole every chapter. Every chapter is gonna be a story, and it's gonna be pretty interesting.
You want to tell about Tommy? You and Tommy getting naked, fighting him naked.
So, an embarrassing moment for me. Bill, you can tell the story. I don't even remember.
So I don't know. I'm not going to start anything, but something, whatever. But it was between you and Tommy. And Tommy lived with the guy in a camper or whatever. So we go over and you're mad, you're drunk, you're mad.
That's right. Tommy was living on a property in a camper of one of the guys he worked for, I think.
So you go over there. I take you over there because you wanted to confront him about it.
Now, mind you, Rick's been drinking
a lot
all day, a lot.
So we get there. Tommy's laid up on the couch. Rick walks in, punches him in the face. They get into a scuffle. They're wrestling. Tommy body slams Rick. Tommy takes off running to go hide because he didn't want to fight Rick being drunk. This one decides.
Now, mind you, I'm whooping up on Tommy. Tommy's a big dude. Now, listen. I like to fight. I've had my ass beat a bunch. Tommy could have probably smoked me down. Tommy's a big old boy. But now I'm drunk. I am drunk. Billy, number one, you should have never let it happen. But you needed some entertainment. I know what you needed. So we end up there, right? I smoke him in the mouth a couple of times. Tommy gets up, gets around me, and body slams me.
And he takes off running because he didn't want to fight you.
Yeah.
You know, his family didn't want to fight you. So he takes off running. You're hollering at him, come on, I'll fight you naked. So he gets stripped buck naked. He's standing there drunk, naked. Come on, Tommy, come on. I was like, Rick, put your clothes back on.
Yeah, and I remember Tommy's boss. But y'all hurry up and finish this crap before my wife gets home. I remember. And that's all I remember is him saying, hurry up and finish this before my wife gets home. I don't want her coming home and seeing some naked drunk guy in my yard. Oh, man, that was so stupid. And it was so dumb.
You know, people back, now they fight and they don't want to talk. Now we'd fight, argue. 5 minutes later.
5 minutes later, we're going out to eat together or sitting around drinking. You know, talking, that's the way. I mean, and I don't remember you and I fighting much at all. Maybe one or two times. I don't remember any. Do you remember any times that me and you
may have bickered a little bit?
Yeah, we would argue. Even when we lived together, we'd argue a little bit. And then we'd go off and I'd go in my room and huff and puff and you do it. And we'd come back like, hey, what do you want to do now? Like it was over with. Now, you voted for them. I don't like you.
Yeah,
I'm not talking to you no more.
No, I don't care. You hurt my feelings. You call me names.
And it's stupid. It's so stupid.
I promise you, my skin's tough enough. You ain't gonna do it.
There is nothing like that. Yeah, there's not a lot.
To me, my thing is, if you're talking about me, let's not talk about somebody else.
That's right. Give them a break.
Less.
Yeah, yeah. So
I don't care what you think about me. So I know what I am, and
Yeah, it
Simple as
is what it
that.
is. Like you can't. And I'm so like sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I would have had this when I was growing up. And then I'm like, no, I don't.
No,
I'm
don't.
glad I don't because I think it would have changed. It would have the way you grow up shapes who you are.
That's
I
right.
think, and I can't. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, do I wish I would have had the name brand clothes? Sometimes,
Yeah. We were
but
dressed and we never was hungry.
we never were.
We always had a roof over our head and was always warm.
And you
Even though when
know,
the fire burned out, I hated chopping firewood and hauling
yeah,
coal and
all
everything else,
yeah,
but
you
we
also had a
stayed
coal
warm.
stove. Yeah.
Stayed warm.
Hey, some of my like my best memories was being at your house. I mean, that was hell. I think I lived there more than I lived at my own. The only reason why I lived at my house because I had to go to school, and I couldn't convince my mom and them to let me live with you to go to school over here. Uh, but yeah, it's I'm thankful for that
Me
opportunity
too. I am
that
too.
we got to experience. And hey, listen, let the electricity go out,
I'll be fine.
let the stores shut down.
Well, we
I
said
promise you.
if the end of times come and we're fighting, we're going to go to your mama's
Yep,
house.
there's 2 places. If your dad would still been alive, we're going to his house, and if not, we're going to my mom's. Them 2 people can grow tomatoes and concrete. I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
but it
And
is
eat
what it is.
sticks and
Eat,
everything.
yeah,
Leaves
and
and
hey,
eat this.
mom and Papa could bring you a dang cedar stick, and you'd eat it, and you think you'd eaten a dang ribeye. It's
Yep.
just how they were,
Some of the stuff I ate, me and my dad's
Mm.
ate. He's like, eat it, it's good. And I'm
Billy,
like,
I tell everybody all the time. I was like, growing up with my mom and my grandpa, I've ate about every animal that walks in the state of Kentucky.
me too.
Like there is very few animals that I have ate, not ate.
Yeah.
So I just got to interview the guy that's creating sea deer camouflage. He was he was in the military for 20 plus years. He was in the Army, done 5 or 7 tours. He joined around the time 9/11 hit. Um, and he was telling me the story that he was out they were out training or getting ready to train, and he's like, they told him, the towers had been attacked, and they thought it was like a drill scenario. So they were getting ready to, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they're like, they turned on the FM radio. And he's like, because back then we didn't have Google, we didn't have the iPhones, we had that Nokia phone,
Yeah. Brick.
the brick that could get out. Listen, I'd still use that sucker today if I had it.
I
I
would
kept mine
too.
for the longest time. I remember the one I had. Finally they made me upgrade because they're like, we're going to shut your phone off. It doesn't work anymore. I'm like, man, come on, and a little antenna that pulled out, played Snake on it. But he was talking about that. He was talking about, we thought it was a joke, and then everything just changed. I don't even know where I was going with that.
ADHD.
Yeah, ADHD hit me hard.
We talk about the Nokia phones on the cruise ship that I went. I watched all the people who work on there. That's what they had. They had the Nokia phones.
Really?
They all had them Nokia phones. I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
that's kind of cool. Look at them. They got. I don't know if maybe because you can get service in hell with them things. I think.
They were like, dude, you could throw them things at a stop sign going down the road at 55 mile an hour and pick it up and still call somebody. I don't know. Maybe it's like some kind of special phone that they
I don't
made
know.
for them or something on the ship.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was pretty coll. I've seen them all using it. Let's look at that. I remember them. I remember growing up using them
I do
phones.
too. I remember when I moved back from Lexington, I brought it. I come back with it. Thought it was the coolest thing, man. And you know what's weird is I found this, and I was listening to another podcast. It may have been, I don't remember whose podcast it was, but they were talking about living here, like in a place like we live, compared to a big city, let's say like Los Angeles or New York or somewhere. And a song would come out on the radio in New York, and it was still 6 months before you even heard it where we live.
Hmm.
Like that's how much of a difference it is. It's probably not now with the technology we got, but that's kind of like the phones, in these big cities where their technology, especially I guess in the Silicon Valley or whatever, they were coming out with all these new technology that they got to use, and it was a year or two before it even hit our area, which is crazy because you don't really think that we're that far out of sync with reality.
I remember I was probably 12, 13, 14, somewhere in that area when we first got the first cordless phone. It dude had a big long antenna on it. I can remember I was standing in my front yard. I was outside calling my buddy Anthony. I said, "Guess what, man? I'm outside talking." I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Didn't have that cord that reached halfway through the house
No, it had
anymore.
an antenna. It
Yeah.
was a cordless phone. But I can remember standing outside talking to him and like, I'm outside talking. I thought that was the coolest thing.
That was really cool.
And the first VCR, I remember coming home. My dad always did an antenna with a light bulb on top of it. He thought that's how you get good channels. And I remember coming home one day. And he's, look at the TV. Look how clear I got it. And I was like, man, it's clear. And then I seen this towel laying on top of the TV. Well, remember that now. When I talk about my TV, it's one of them big
box, the ones that you had to get up and go change the channels. Yeah.
And I looked up, I seen it, and I pulled it off. VCR laying there. First time we had a VCR. I ran all the way down to my buddy's house. I was so excited. Guess what we got? We got a VCR, you know. Now they don't even know what a VCR is.
Yeah. Like there's kids that have no idea. And it blows my mind that there's kids that don't even know how to work a rotary phone. Have you seen them videos?
Yes, text on this. Like,
I posted a video a while back on, I think, TikTok. I was over at Mandy's mom's and I found a bunch of VCR tapes and a bunch of like a rotary phone. And I was just like, man, that's the craziest thing. So then I found a hunting video. And they had a VCR, so I jacked their VCR, and then a lady on Facebook had a box TV. It was a Quasar. It's down in the building. I think you've seen it. It's got the knobs, and so I thought, I wonder if it still works. So I hooked it all up, and I watched a hunting video from like 1989 on that thing, and it's the craziest thing.
We were the remote controls back in the day.
We were.
Turn the channel, turn it up.
Yeah.
Turn that little knob, make it clear.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I wish my dad was. He'd tell you some.
Yeah, Pepa was here. Pepa, this podcast would blow up. I'd have to name it after him and give him all the credit because it's
he tells stories. This biggest story he'll tell you. He met Howie Mandel on the phone. Yeah, he met him on the phone because he picked up a hitchhiker one time. It was a woman, and she was one of them Deal or No Deal, and so Howie Mandel called him to say, "Hey, thanks for taking care of her and all that crap."
So he picked up one of the models that opened the case.
Yes.
Remember when he was in town? We were in town. He was in town or something, and they had all them hay bales on that trailer, and he said it was the Mexican mafia hauling marijuana.
My dad was something that he was. I can remember going down there, and when I lived at, we had hijacked cable, TV.
Yeah.
And I remember going down there one time. He's like, man, I think he dreamed. I watched stuff and dreamed about it, and then told me that it had really happened because he was the only one that had this channel that come on TV that nobody else had. But I had the exact same internet and same TV channels as he did. He was something else. He was.
I wonder what channel that was.
I don't even know. Square Diamond or something.
there's no telling.
He would come up with some stories.
Man.
Lord, that man come up with some stories and just like you just talk to him, lay the phone down. To this day, I love having phone calls again.
I know, right?
I do anything.
Have a recording.
That's that, or just have him call me again.
Mm-hmm.
I have his phone still, my number in my phone still.
Yeah.
I want to call it just to see if somebody answers.
You should, and just to see if the number's been like. Did he have a voicemail set up on it?
No. I wish he did.
Yeah.
He's too ignorant. He'd take random pictures and he'd call random time. Or I would tell him something. Perkinitis here too, part of it. I'd tell him something. 5 minutes later, he'd call me back and say, "Guess what I heard?" Exactly what I told him.
You told him. Yeah. So Perkinitis isn't just about an injury. It's about anything that is. You tell a family member something, and then it circulates back, and there's been so much stuff added to it.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's something. Dying all the time. They stub their toe, they're dying. Doctor would say you have ingrown hair. Well, that would be time it got around, your hair's falling out.
Yeah.
And you'll never grow.
You got 3 weeks to live.
Yeah. My dad done died 1,500 times probably. God rest. So he finally, he did. He was. Shoo!
He was something else. He was fun.
One of my kids is that way now. Like they're dying every time
you talk to them.
They cough. They're dying.
Yeah, man. That's man. I couldn't wait to come to your house. Like that was especially when last day of school. I knew I was going to get to go to Bill Bill's and spend the night with Bill and Pepaw and Man, we had so much fun. Like we ran. Like remember roofing up the road?
Oh, that yeah, I remember Frankie Piper's house.
Mm-hmm.
Was you? He was part of that, wasn't you? Me, you, and
Yes, me
Tommy.
and you. He was gonna pay us all this money, and Richie Jones.
Yes, okay, yeah.
And we got what did they pay us?
I
Like
don't know. I
$18.
think so.
And we worked our butt off for like 2 or 3 days, helping them roof that thing, tearing off all them wood shingles,
Yep, I
and
remember that.
man,
I
we got
remember
screwed
doing
out of a
that.
lot of
Yeah, I
stuff.
remember doing that roof, and it was nasty, black soot
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got screwed out of that.
Then we
deal.
go. I go back to your house and we go haul hay, and you were like, "I'm gonna wear shorts because it's hot." I'm like, "I wouldn't." You like, "Oh yes, I will." And we got he said 3 cents a bale. I was like, back then, 3 cents a bale, a couple hundred bales would be good. No, it was 3 cents a bale for all three of us.
Yeah.
We had to share 3 cents a bale.
Yeah, that
Me, you and Tommy, or you and
yeah.
James?
I don't remember who. I don't remember. It was me and you, and
Somebody else, Tommy or James, one of the two.
I don't remember who.
But I remember we got like $20 for
Yeah.
hauling like 3,000 fucking
Yeah,
bales. I
it was
don't remember.
ridiculous. I do remember. It's me and you hauled straw for Mr. Pride.
Yeah.
Remember that? He paid us pretty good. He did a good job. He paid us pretty good on that one. You don't see that anymore either.
Nope, no more square bales.
You can't find anybody to haul square barrels. Hardly anybody does square barrels, I guess. I don't know. Mostly it's round barrels now.
They can't find help because nobody wants to work.
I thought, and I told Mandy not too long ago, maybe last year. So I wish I could find some guys, some good, strong teenagers that's willing to work, put a hay crew together and advertise, and man, I could make them kids so much money.
Mm-hmm.
But I never see people do that anymore.
Never. I haven't hauled hay in the guy I used to work for a couple years ago. He had a little, probably 50 to 65 bales. I'd help him pick it up.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, it was good work, but you just don't see nobody hauling.
No, you don't. Nothing. Hay, straw, none of that stuff anymore. It's all either burn off or round baled or.
Because round bales, it's easy. Because they don't have to pay nobody.
And it's not because I guarantee you they'd rather have some square bales, but nobody wants to haul it. And it's a job. It's
because they can't find help and they wants to go do it. They want a lot of money to haul hay, and I mean, we did it for $20, and
we done several hundred bales for $20.
Well, we thought we used to. We thought the money.
I remember the first time I actually had a job, quote unquote, that paid. Was working for the same guy. He owned the Mattoon General Store at the time, and I was chunking rocks and sticks out of a field.
Yeah.
And I went down there and I spent all day long that summer, all day for several days in a row, chunking rocks. And he's like, "All right, it's time to pay you." And he took me to his store. Now he had groceries in his store. He had burgers, a little deli restaurant type thing, and then he had like seconds of clothing and shoes, and he had some knockoff Converse, Chuck Taylors, and that was my pay for a week's worth of work. I got a pair of, at the time, $30 tennis shoes, when you should have probably been paid a couple $100 for the work we did.
I just started off the subject here. When you bought a new pair of shoes growing up, did it make you run faster?
Yes, it did.
Did it make you jump higher?
Made me jump higher.
I remember.
Made me taller.
I remember growing up. I can remember this. Yes, I remember my mom come home. She got us a new pair of shoes for school. I put them on. I can remember running through the house, jumping up and hitting the door frame. I was like, these make me jump so much higher. Some stupid stuff like that growing up.
It was the silliest, but it was the coolest thing in the world, man. And I don't think there's any other generation than our generation that can experience it. Even the generations before us, they had their own little thing. But for some reason, it seems like Gen X got to experience. We went from no technology to the cell phones. We got to experience all of that growing up. Like the generation before us, they were already adults and got to experience, and the ones that after us were kids that grew up with it. But we got to experience it full circle, see it come through. I remember my buddy George Hollis, brother George, he's a preacher. This dude, and I've got to credit a lot of how I turned out to him as well. He used to go to his house all the time, and I remember he had a computer, his mom and dad, and correct me, George, if I'm wrong, but I think they worked for IBM at one time. And so he had a computer, so he was very knowledgeable. George is smartest, one of the smartest guys I've ever known. He's a preacher, and we were going to his house, and I had a report to do for school, and he helped me, and he was so smart. He even created his own board game, which he should have pursued because it was a great game. I think it was called like Thieves or something. But anyway, so I remember upstairs working on my report, and I'm looking up Pamela Anderson in a bathing suit on the internet, so and it would pop up pictures of like Baywatch when she was on Baywatch, and I don't think the X-rated stuff was really out there yet. So I would type in Yasmin Bleeth. Oh my gosh, bathing suit, and it would pop up, and then George, being so smart, knew he would look at the history, and he'd be like, "Yeah, you probably don't, Rick, probably don't need to be looking at girls in bathing suits, And I'm in probably early middle school, late elementary, uh, probably middle school, I feel like. But man, George, he used to come and he would get us, and he would take us to what was called RAs in church, was Royal Ambassadors, and we would make like the little soapbox cars, and
I did that.
we made a kite. We built a kite and flew the kite. Um, I look back on people that really influenced me on becoming who I am.
Yeah.
And he was one of the big ones. And you have always been a big influence in Pepaw in the aspect of knowing how to survive, right? Pepaw and my mom and our family grew up with nothing, but we had everything, dude.
Yep.
We had Was it always great? No, it wasn't, but we had family all the time. We always had somebody there. Um, and then George would come and pick us up and take us to church, and he instilled those values in us that carry over today. And then I had a couple of teachers in school. Steve Carter, call him Superman, because he looks like freaking Superman, whether he wants to believe it or not. He looks like Clark Kent. Um, Big influence in my life. My teacher Eric LaRue, my English teacher, to this day, that man has a big role. Was there any teachers in your life that?
Marlon Drury, which he was an electrician, me and him I love that. And Coach Walls, he used to be the wrestler team and all that stuff. He still he didn't do it, but he still lives here in town. He was up the road from here.
I actually, when I was working for the county as the EM director, his wife was in the same building as me, and so I got to see her, Miss Kathy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they post on Facebook all the time. They travel all over the place.
Her Kathy too. She was a teacher. She was not. I always liked her. Yeah, they were somebody, especially Mr. Drury. Me and him, we bonded really good, and he pursued me to keep on going and keep it on. And I wish I haven't seen him in years. Don't know if he's still alive or not. But yeah, I love to see him again. I see Coach Walls all the time. I see him on Facebook, and I comment on him and stuff
and you never think about, like, I don't know. I felt like the teachers back then, and maybe it's because of just the whole change of things, but back then it felt like they were more personable. They were more one-on-one.
Right now,
it's so hard, I guess.
Yeah, they say do this packet here and fill it out.
And not all teachers.
It's not their fault, and it's not their fault. Right. Because they have all this new curriculum. They got to do this. Back then, I can remember in third grade, Miss Greenwell, favorite teacher of all, third grade. I got caught stealing an eraser, right from her desk. So she's like, "Bill, this one had paddling." She's like, "We gotta go outside, Bill. You gotta take a paddling." I was like, "Okay," but she didn't do it. I remember her just to this day. I remember she used to live. Took me outside. She was crying. She's like, "Bill, you're one of my best students I have." She said, "I can't do this." So I'm gonna smack the wall. Okay. So she smacked the wall. Told me to go back and sit down. Don't do it again. I can remember that was one of my favorite. I loved her. She was the best teacher ever.
I remember I had a friend. Bless his soul. I don't know. I think he got in some trouble. I'm not going to give his last name. His first name is Wesley. And he was from over here, actually, and he ended up coming over to where I went to school. I went to school in Crittenden County. And me and him became really good friends. And he looked out for me. I mean, he got me in some trouble, but he looked out for me. He took up for me all the time. And I remember we were in elementary school, and we were in our little gymnasium, and had like a little change in the locker room, if you will. And he was like, make sure no teachers come. And he was spray painting the room. Well, spray paint leaves a very distinct smell, and so he paints. I don't even remember what he painted on the walls. It wasn't nothing bad. Maybe his initials or some kind of that super S. Remember that S with the 3 lines?
Yes,
Maybe that. And we got caught, and I wouldn't tell on him. So we were going to get a paddling. Well, he ended up taking the paddle from the teacher, and I think paddling the teacher, like he got sent off to military school.
Really?
And I was sitting in the office, and Miss Thurman, I'll never forget her. I loved her. She was our principal, and she was like, and her grandson, I graduated with Jeremy, which was a awesome dude to this day. I guarantee he's still just as good a dude as he was then. But anyway, Miss Thurman was our principal, and she was pretty strict, but I could tell she had soft spots for me, So she's like, I'm gonna call your mom. We're gonna talk about paddling you. Well, she calls mom, and mom's like, you're not paddling my son. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You ain't gonna paddle me. So I remember mom coming and getting me, loading me up in the car, and everything's great. I'm thinking, I've got this. I remember getting home and mom beating my bull. I thought, gosh, I wish Miss Thurman would have just whooped me. Man, that's I never got paddled in school, but at home. They would tear me up at home, son.
I remember something about getting paddled. I remember it's me and Tommy, and it was you. The apples in the bags on the cars at the church.
Oh, yes. Me and you. The poop.
Yes. Tommy was with us too.
Yes. The Coben.
Yes. So we had cows, milk cow, one. We had an orchard. Remember that? I said, tell you stories. We had an orchard. So it was a Sunday. So me, him, and Tommy decided we're going to play a prank on this church up the road. So we get these paper sacks. We fill it full of cow crap and put apples on top of it, fold it over nice and neat, pretty, make it look good. So we take off down to this church and we put them on all these people's cars and we hide the ditch and watch. So they were picking them up and sticking it in the backseat of their car. They thought they was excited because he had apples and it was full of cow crap. We went home and I can remember telling my mom about it. Thought it was funny. Yeah. Yeah, I got a whooping for that one.
Ain't that something? We would do this stuff, then we would tell them that we did it.
That was the only time I told her that. I remember that. And we're the only ones in the neighborhood who's got apples and cows.
And cows, yeah. That was funny. That was a good time. Man, we were kids these days would not get up at the butt crack of dawn and go and do what we did. Yep. We would leave the house and not come back until dark.
Yep. Mama, they trusted us then. Our chicken in was just come in the yard so I could see you. Yeah. You ain't got to come inside. Just
nope.
There ain't no cell phone.
We are. No.
They knew if we said we'll be down, we're gonna be here, we'd be there.
We would be
down in the bottoms doing something.
We would. I mean, we would venture off down, down to the river or whatever. But we always came back and checked in, and they never really worried about us. I don't guess. It's nowadays you can't watch your kids can't go out in the front yard without something happening.
Do you remember your neighbor down on Nunswitch had that big pond right beside your house? Had that big old jug of quarters.
Yes.
What was it? I can't remember. What was it? Right beside your house. It was lived by himself with a young
Gary.
Yeah.
Gary Birchwell.
Yeah, I can remember him going there. He had a pond, little bitty old pond, but had some massive bluegill.
Big old, and it's catfish in it too. So his house was up here, and the pond was down here on the bottom.
Mm-hmm. And then you had Gary. I remember he had a tote that you thought was cool. Went inside with a big water jug full of quarters.
Yep.
It's just quarters too. I remember that.
He had a dog, big old Rottweiler named Rocky. That sucker would carry a big old cannonball around in his mouth. A big old massive dog. He ended up becoming. I think he was a barber too. He was a barber and he worked in the coal mines. I don't know. He lived there for a long time after we moved out, and I think he sold it. And I don't remember. He moved back to. I don't remember where he was from, Greenville or somewhere. I haven't heard from him. Another guy that I grew up lived in the house that the Papanaws used to live in. Paul Moore, his son Paul Jr. Me and him, we'd be friends. We became friends. We'd go up there, and he had a Nintendo. We'd go up there all the time, play 1942, the airplane game. And Paul would be like, "Yeah, you can come up there." And turned out his dad would be like, "I don't want no company. I'm coming home from work, whatever." And he would get mad at Paul and be like, "Y'all need to go home." But most of the time, he just let us stay there and play. And turns out he just lives right over here now. Big Paul, the dad.
Really, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Remember old Burles?
Burles the tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember him growing up?
Yep.
He was just a friend of the family my dad met, and this man had, I don't know, remember his ears had big old massive
Big
ears,
old, his ears. I mean, them
they were
suckers are
huge. And had some kind
huge.
of cancer stuff on him. Great guy, but he
Yeah.
couldn't hardly talk. He couldn't
No.
hardly see. Always had chewing tobacco in his
Always
mouth the
had
whole
chew.
time.
Big old twist too.
Yep.
Not like this stuff that I chew or
Oh, this is
like
man,
this,
it's like
that twist up there on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember him. He went to the rest home, and then he finally passed away. But yeah, it was, all the people we grew up with that educated us, they're all about gone.
They were older people.
They were way older people.
And that's funny because most of the stuff I learned from them, the elders, if you will.
That
It
were the
wasn't
elders,
it
man.
wasn't people mom and dad's age, my mom and dad's age. It was people your dad's age and
Older people, yeah. And some of the stuff you're like, what? But it always worked.
that was the coolest thing is when I'd go to your house and Peppa, we'd be there and he'd have some of his friends over and of course they were older people and we would just sit and listen to them talk because it was so interesting. Now you couldn't get somebody in their 20s to sit and listen to an older person.
Uncle Jim, I like going to talk to him. He got to do that and play guitar.
He used to get so mad at me when I'd play the guitar. He would try to teach me a song on the guitar, and it was funny when he'd get going. His mouth would just go with the guitar, and he would get so mad at me because I couldn't keep up. And I'm like, Uncle Jim, I have no idea what you're doing. I can barely play G, C, and D, and he's over here just doing riffs. And,
I can remember him. I remember one time. This was, Kenzie, Aaron. I think even Bo was born. It's when I was still married. I went over there. He always cut my hair. Remember, Uncle Jim always cut your hair. So I'd go over one day. I had hair. So Uncle Jim, I need a haircut. My dad was alive because my dad was there too. I remember. My dad lived with him at the time. I go over there and he goes close to cutting. I don't know what he was using. So I don't know. Oh my God, it was horrible. I love him to death. I slept with my hat on. I was like, and it was like, so I was like, he did the sides and around the ears. It's like, Uncle Jim, is he gonna get the top? Because it was long. He just picked up scissors and just, and then I'm like, oh my God. So I put my hat on and I took off, went back home the next day. I stayed the night there. Went back home the next day and went straight to Dobie. I said, Dobie, I need your help. I can remember Dobie's like, what did you do? I said, it was not me. Just fix it, please.
A pocket knife and a pair of dull scissors.
I don't even know what he used.
That's funny.
That was just, does Dobie still cut hair?
No, so actually Dobie is he's got cancer. He's got, I think, throat cancer.
Really, man.
I may be wrong. I haven't checked in on him. I was just thinking about him the other day. We were going through Morganfield. And I thought, man, I need to swing in there and see him. But he stopped cutting hair. He's got cancer now. He's got throat cancer.
I liked old Dobie. He was something else.
Dobie was funny.
He's a good guy.
Oh, Dobie, you go in for a 15-minute haircut and take you an hour.
Yeah.
Because he'd talk to you the whole time. Loved it.
Yeah.
Go in for a high and tight leave with a chili bow. No, I'm just kidding. Though. I hope he watches. I hope he's doing good. We need to check on him.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in. Whew.
We need to just show up at his house.
Yeah,
his wife Amy. I need to reach out to her and say, "Hey, me and Billy's gonna come see you."
So last time I seen him, I had sunglasses on, big old beard. I walked in, started talking to him. He's looking at me like he didn't know who it was because I've never had. I always grew with goatee and stuff or shaved face. He kept looking at me. He's like, "I know who you are. I know that voice, but I don't know who you are." I told him. He's like, "Oh my God!" And he remembered me then.
It was. I'd see him all the time. We go to Walmart before he got sick and stuff, and I'd see him. And I'd holler at him across him and Billy House. I'd see Billy House. Billy House.
He's my buddy too. Billy taught me a lot of things.
I like old Billy.
Now.
Every time I see Billy, he asks about you. How's old Bill doing?
Billy will tell you about this story. He'll tell you he always gives me hell about.
Well, let's take a break. I gotta pee. Let's take a break, refill, and we'll come back.
So do I gotta pee too.
Yeah, but I don't think them kids can still top some of the crazy we've done. That's
I can remember when you dislocated your shoulder whenever you was at Mandy.
No, so the kids had set up a ramp for the bicycles. All right, and it was on that sidewalk, and they were jumping, and they were like barely, they would. Jump. I said, let me show you how to do this. Y'all come here. And they had those rider pegs on the back, that you stand on. And I said, let me show you how to do this. So I fixed the ramp, got a little higher. Buddy, I'm trucking. I'm scooting, son. I'm got this sucker in turbo. Man, I hit that ramp and I'm 4 or 5 foot up in the air. I'm like, yeah. And I land that sucker, land it great. And I go to slide, and that rider peg catches the side of the sidewalk. Like, here's a sidewalk, and the peg sticks in the ground here and says, bam! And slams me like this right here. And I felt it. I could hear, I heard it, and I felt it. And then all of a sudden, I'm like this. I'm like, what is wrong? And I'm like, oh, and they're all laughing at me. And I get up, and I'm like, I think I need to go to the hospital. Well, I ended up breaking my collarbones, like sticking up like this, and I broke my shoulder blade, like clean in half. Broke my, and I got a knot on my dang collarbone. So I had what was called a floating shoulder because it was broke here, and it was broke at my collar or my scapula. Broke that sucker in half. So there's nothing supporting my shoulder. It's called and I remember going to the ER. I was in a bathroom, and I'm in there like trying everything like not to cry because I'm in so much pain, and I'm all drawn up like this, and I can see my collarbone sticking, and I can see the point like right at the edge of the skin where it's almost ready to protrude out, and I come out. I was like, I think I need to go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, and I can't remember what doctor it was, and I'm laying on the hospital bed, the ER bed. And he gets up on top of me. And he's like, well, let's see if we can do this. If not, you're going to have. And he pushes down on my
Oh,
and he resets my collarbone. Dude, punch me in the freaking canones, man. Because I would rather have that than that pain.
that's when
Like, I peed myself a little bit.
That's when I helped you on the trash route.
Yeah.
Just remember
Yeah,
that.
it was horrid, dude. It hurt so bad. But I jumped and I landed. If I wouldn't have slid, them stupid rider pegs, man. And it caught that concrete when I was coming around. Like, so I landed and I started sliding, and I slid kind of on the side, and that rider peg went right down beside that concrete and grabbed me and just, dude, full force.
Body slam.
Boom.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
It hurt about as
I remember
bad.
you coming. I remember you going, come back. You're all
Dude,
stuff.
I'm like, you should have seen me before I had it in a sling and stuff. Because I was just like, I was like the guy off the Goonies. Hey, you guys. I was like, dude, it hurt. And now that I think about it, Tommy may be the reason why I had my hip surgery when his body slammed me. That's stupid SOB, man. Tommy's a big old boy. Like, I don't know. You should have never. It's your fault for allowing some drunk guy. I weighed probably 130 pounds then, though.
Yeah.
Maybe 140 at the most. Fighting a 250-pound dude. But yeah, his body slammed me, man. And it hurt. I ain't gonna lie. But, yeah. He ran. He didn't want to fight me because I was naked. Bull crap. He was scared of me. I don't care what anybody says. I love him to death.
I remember that. I remember I was laughing so hard I couldn't even. I was laughing. You're naked, or you are standing naked.
Yeah, that's not
naked.
one of my brightest moments. And I've got a few of
remember
those moments that I ain't real proud
I
of.
remember another story. I mean, we grew up. After we grew up and got moved out, we moved in together on Bendire Road out here. We had a little S10 pickup truck. You remember going
With the flames.
with the flames on it? I bought it from Marion,
Yep.
and we were on the way to sober.
Now we were
Sober.
100% sober, headed to Ethel's, which
Yep.
was a bar, a local
You
bar.
DJ'd that night, and I just tagged along. So we were on the way, and we were on one of these back roads. I can't remember.
Right over here.
Yeah,
It
over
was
that way.
White Road.
White Road, something like that.
Yep.
Made a real sharp, come across the bridge, curve, went straight, another curve, then it curved again. We knew the curves were there.
We were just
chit-chatting,
talking.
da-da-da-da-da. It was raining. It been raining. I jumped the curve, made the curve
Yeah.
go straight.
Sharp curve, 90 curve,
Yeah,
like
you
this
was
right
like,
here.
"Don't let off." 2-wheel drive truck. I let her eat. We got all the way across it. Almost got out. Got to the other side. He couldn't climb out. We walked up the road. Got a guy to come pull us out. Got back in the truck. Drove to Ethels.
Drove to Ethel's. Had a heck of a night that night.
Didn't even check the truck. See if it was wrecked.
Yeah, we
nothing
just
like
drove it
that.
on. Yeah, that was a good
I can tell
time.
you
And we
the
were
story,
so, we had more stupid close calls sober than we ever did while we were drinking.
I don't think we ever.
We
did.
didn't really. I mean, up until we started going to Ethel's, we didn't drink a whole lot.
But we
And
always
then
did
once we
safe.
got to Ethel's, because I DJ'd and I was like, hey, look, we're broke.
We just want food and
We
beer.
just need food and beer, and that was my pay for
Yes,
DJing,
that's
and
all we needed.
it was the best pay ever. Like, and it was so much fun. We had so much fun.
But we did it responsibly too. If you would drink, I wouldn't. I wouldn't
Yeah,
drink.
yeah.
Or,
We never really.
or if we both of us want to drink, we take.
We
somebody
always
with
had
us.
somebody.
Always take
Mom would take
Anthony,
us, bring us back. Anthony would bring us back. You know what else they don't make like that? Us.
People. That's right. People.
Don't make us like that anymore.
Gen X. There ain't no more Gen X.
There's not. I don't care.
There's a girl on TikTok. She talks about Gen X. She's like, some of the stuff that's the reason why Gen X's don't take no crap from nobody, because the stuff that we lived, the jarts, the yard darts.
You know what? You know what? I always think back, like what made me who I am is all the ass whoopings I got.
Telling you,
me thinking I'm the baddest sucker and getting my butt whooped.
That's right. And
like, I've probably taken more ass whoopings than I've given. Right?
So.
I've given some.
I can remember once we was in Decoven, and my dad was like, me and Tommy got into it, arguing, like brothers do. And my dad's like, I'm tired of y'all two fighting. So I remember it was at the front door.
But here's the thing, though. You guys always fought. Like, listen, every time I'd go to your house, there was a fight. And I'm not talking about the fights they have these days.
No, I'm
talking about, I'm going to beat you. One of us is going to die. We're not going to make it out of here. When you take a 2x4 with nails in it and you hit your brother and your brother comes back with a hammer and hits you, like, listen, kids, y'all don't fight like we fought. I'm just telling you. But yeah, so
I can remember this. I remember the front door, because we had a little piece of carpet cut out with linoleum. I can remember standing right there. My dad, because I was probably a little bigger than him, I'm a little bigger than Tommy. And I remember I was like, I'm tired of y'all. So y'all are getting too big for me to whoop. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. You're going to whoop him and he's going to whoop you. So I was like, all right. So Tommy whoops me and I'm crying. Oh, it hurts. So my turn. I'm bigger. Tommy's a little guy. I wear him out. I'm telling you, I hurt him. I get done. My dad's like, now, why'd you do that for? You told me to. I said, now, because you're bigger than him, now I'm going to whoop you. I remember that. Oh, my gosh. The worst punishment, I guess, I ever did. I remember I did something to Tommy, took off running. I took off running. My dad's chasing me. I'm running. Don't ever run.
I know.
So I'm running. I'm gone. I tell people this story all the time. I'm running. And my he ain't running. He's just walking. He's just strolling behind me, So he's like, I'll catch you. I'm laughing. You can't catch me. I said, you can't catch me, you old man. I'm running. I see him turn around, so I'm hiding at this time. We're number 8. That's what we was at. So I was 10. So he takes off, walk back to the house. So, and I was like, so I'm going to stay gone all day long. So I stay out until dark. Oh, Billy's getting hungry, I'm like, I'm hungry. So I come slipping in the back door. I see him in there in the living room. He's in the kitchen, he's eating dinner and stuff like that.
Done thought he forgot about it.
Well, I'm like, oh, I'm scared. I'm cautious. Like gun shy big time. So he's like, get in here and eat. So I sit down and eat. And I'm like, well, I'm hurry up and eat. And I take all back to my room. I hide in my room. Nothing. I'm like, laying in the bed, like shaking, waiting for him to come in the middle of the night and jerk me out of the bed and whoop my butt. Nothing. Get up next morning. He's in the kitchen drinking coffee like he always did. Asked me if I could work. And I'm like, well, he'd always.
Windshield wiper on the belly goes.
Right. So eat breakfast. And I'm gone. I'm out the door. I'm hiding. This is summertime. I remember I'm gone. I'm hiding again. I stay out all day long again. I'm hiding. I'm like staying away from him. Come back in that afternoon. I remember, and I see him sitting on the couch. He's watching TV, and I slip in the back door, get me something to eat. Back to bed I go. Next morning, next morning, I'm thinking, he's done forgot about it. He's done forget about it. He's like, whatever. I'm talking to him like we're sitting here talking. Everything. Eating breakfast, ask me what we're going to do today, whatever. So I leave. I'll go outside. Like I'm in the backyard playing or whatever. I come in the door. He's hiding by the back door, right? So I didn't know that this time. I walk in. He grabs me. He's like, I told you I'd catch you. I fell right there. Just wilted. I just fell. Started crying.
Start crying.
Started crying. I wilted right there.
You know you were done.
He was like, you know something? I'm not going to whip you. He said, the punishment you did to yourself them 2 days was punishment enough. I laughed watching you, terrified that I was gonna come get
I
you.
love that man.
He's like, I'm not gonna touch you. I remember
I
that.
love that man.
That was one of the stories. And I've got my book
The
many a
lessons.
times. So many times, but that one got me. That one was the word. That was the most memorable one. I can't even tell you how many times I got my butt whooped. Going down the road in your car, your mama, whatever she could grab, smack you with.
Yeah. Oh my
Going to
God.
church, act up in church. What did we get home? Tell your daddy. No, please don't tell daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got my butt
Man.
whooped so many times. I remember Tommy tell you this. Had this thing about this long. It's called the horse popper. And it was red and white nylon or real thick plastic, but one part was broke. And then you had a handle on it. And that thing, whew, my butt's twiggling right now thinking about it. He would swing it, they would bowl. Molly didn't get very many butt whoopings. She was
She didn't, did
she
she?
was the mama's baby, and
Yeah.
Mama took care of her. I could tell you some stories about Molly too. That would
We're gonna have
embarrass the
to.
hell
We're
out
gonna
of
have to
her.
do that.
We called her Boogerachi growing up because she always eat her boogers.
Yeah. Next, the next beers with Billy, we'll focus on Molly. So get ready, Molly. Oh man, that kind of.
Yeah, I've got my. But you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Most of the time.
Because think about nowadays. You go, you're grounded,
Well,
or
the-
you go sit in a corner.
The lessons we learned were life lessons.
Yes.
Like, at that moment we didn't realize what lessons we were learning. And it wasn't long ago I was sitting here thinking about something Dad did, and I was like, I get it. Now I know. Then I was like, he's the worst man in the world. Oh, I can't stand it. I hate him. Whatever.
I remember so many times. I can't wait till I turn 18 and move out.
Like, and I would give anything to go back.
Kids nowadays, they don't want to get. Your punishment was go to your room.
Yeah.
I hated going to your room. Now you're like, get out of your room. They stay in the room
all day long.
All day. I couldn't see. I've got some older ones. My boy could stay downstairs in his room.
Yeah.
All day. I could not do it. No way.
And yeah, they got, I guess, more entertainment now at their hands.
But what's that going to teach you?
It's nothing. Like
everything I've got and then you've got.
We explored. You know what my favorite things were? Because I spent just as much time at your house as I did mine growing up, I feel like. And I remember your dad would go and gut old houses for people. To me, that was the coolest thing. We would go, and the stuff we would find in these old houses, because we could have it, we could keep it. That was part of the deal, Hey, Bill, go tear this house down, and whatever's in it you can have. And I can remember going and tearing and finding crap in the walls, like old newspapers, like articles from like 1920s, and that was the coolest thing to me. Like, I still love. I see an old house.
I'm gonna go in it.
Yes,
Me too.
Yeah. So the house right down the road here on 270. Did you notice they tore it down?
That big one.
That big 3-story white
caught
house.
on fire or something.
Caught on fire and burnt down. And we were just coming back from town, and I was like, man, and Mandy was like, yeah, it looks like there was nothing there.
I know it.
But we knew,
I mowed that yard. Me and Anthony mowed that yard.
I remember that.
About that. So terrified of praying mantises.
Yes.
Yeah. So me and Anthony, I remember one day he asked me to meet him there, help him mow that yard. So all right, so Anthony will tell you this. So we was mowing. I said, man, you go this way, I go that way. It was okay. So we're mowing. We on the tractor type lawnmowers, before the big zero turns come out. I went around the house like this, hit brushes or something. I don't know what I hit. Praying mantis hits the hood of the car, the hood of the lawnmower. I bail off of it. Anthony said, I seen the lawnmower go in with you on it and come out the other side with you not on it.
So
and you were pointing.
Until next time, open a beer, enjoy some quiet time,
and laugh.
And laugh.
Rednecks.